I'm Pam Hayes from Hayes Sewing Machine Company of Wilmington, Delaware, and welcome back to our creative videos. And today I'm going to do a quilt out of the Magic of 3-Yard Quilts, and the one that I'm going to be doing is called Enchanting. So that'll kind of give you the picture. Of course, am I doing it in those colors? No, of course not. But
it's only a suggestion.
It's only a suggestion. I'm doing blue with kind of a black and white print going around.
Mm-hmm.
So basically you are going to end up with a 12.5 by 12.5 square, hopefully, when you're done. And it has different components. We're going to do some half square triangles. And then we have where we're going to sew this together, and it's going to come up with your long black and white rectangles. And then you have the center square, which you don't have to do anything with. Gotta love that one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to work on these black and whites. And basically, they're going to be called strip assemblies. And you're going to have, just line them up, two together. I'm using foot number 97 today, and it also comes with a 97D, and it comes with a seam gauge. So we're going to utilize that today. And we're going to line this up, and we're going to stitch straight on down. And we're going to line it up.
And you would normally be doing that from salvage to salvage?
Yes. This would be a very long section. You're going to basically have 3 that are by the width of the fold.
Okay.
So you're going to have 3 strips, one of each color, and you'd be doing several of these.
Got it.
When I go to press, obviously on this one, because it's black, I'm going to press the seams to the dark side. Alrighty, so now when I go, you're going to need this to be 2.5. So I'm going to line up one of the lines on my ruler. And we're going to cut. And we're going to do 2.5. I found whenever I was doing, because you do need to do 48 of these, you're going to eventually need to, reassess and trim it up a little bit.
So, like, how many do you usually cut? Like 6 or so? Or?
Yeah, and then I check to make sure it's still straight.
Re-audition and make sure everything's straight.
And there you go.
A little bit closer to the ruler.
Close to the ruler. There you go.
There. Okay.
So you're going to have 48 of those, because there are 4 of them going around 12 blocks. And somebody else, I know, somebody else can do the math.
It's too early to do math.
All right, so now, half square triangles. When you're doing a half square triangle, you're going to, I have a batik, so good luck with right or wrong side on that one.
I love batiks.
Gotta love batiks.
You got a right side and then another right side. Can't pick the wrong side.
You're going to line this up, so corner to corner, and you're going to draw. I'm just using a chalk wheel to do this, but, marking pen, whatever you like. All right, so at this point, this seam gauge is going to get in the way, so I'm just going to simply loosen it and just kind of move it over to the side. It wants you to do a scant quarter, the infamous scant quarter. So I basically move my needle position 1 click to the right, but remember we're going to be trimming these. So it's, yes, you're doing a scant. Not as crucial. No, not as crucial as you think. I'm going to line the edge of the foot, this outside edge, my 1/4 inch, with the line that I've drawn. And remember, you'd have several of these. So you're going to be doing assembly line style all the way through. However, I've already done most of these. So we're going to line it up and do the same thing on the other side. So again, scant quarter, but don't freak out too much about it because again, remember we're going to be trimming. Now on that line, we are going to cut. And again, I'm going to press towards the dark side. And remember on these guys, you'd be doing, I think there's like 24 of them for each colorway. And you have 2 colorways. And I'll show you that. All right, so we have our bit, and then this is the other colorway. All right, so you can see that both have turquoise, one has white, one has black.
Got it.
Now, how do I go and how do I trim this up? We need to trim it up so it's 2.5, which is basically the same thing we've cut for these guys. So, I have a ruler that has a line on it. And I'm going to line the seam up with the center. So that line is lined up with the seam. And you can scooch it if you need to. There you go. All right. So I'm at 2.5 on this and that side. So anything that is left over,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye. It's all gone. And I also like to get rid of the dog ear at this point as well. Okay, so that one's done. And I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. So again, the seam is lined up with the line. And I'm doing 2.5. Getting that lined up. And then cutting the sides. So yes, you're doing a scant quarter, but you're also trimming it up, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. Alrighty. So now we are going to have, well, we're actually doing the square, or the block, I should say. Remember, that's going to be our center. We're going to have one up at the top, one at the bottom, and you can see they're alternating. So the black and the whites are opposite to each other. All right, and then this guy, if you have a black on a corner, you're going to do the black on the corner, or you can look at the whites. It doesn't really matter.
Likes together.
Likes together. Like so, like thus, and like so, and there you go. So that's what we're shooting for. That, to me, is a gorgeous pattern.
It is.
It's really pretty.
And it's a nice size block.
Yeah, you can just make a pillow.
Oh, well, yeah, true. What I was thinking is like if you had an embroidery or you wanted to fussy cut something in the fabric.
Oh, yeah.
What size is the center block? About
This
8.5?
I'm sorry, hold on just one second. Yes, 8.5. Well done, you! Look at you.
Ah, the quilter's eye.
Yes, 7 to 8.5. All right. So now at this point, they're going to have you join this section. So they're going to have you join this row.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're going to put the rectangle to the block, and then you're going to join the other row. And again, I like having a little bit of a seam gauge. This helps. We have my
I like the
vision.
way you swung that around. I don't know that I would have ever thought of that.
Yeah, just swing it
I
around.
just-
Especially if you know you're going to be using it. All right. So we're going to make sure that, yep, that is lined up how it should be. And we're going to do our our 1/4 inch, and I always lay it back like, yep, that's good, and then we're going to go.
It's a lot faster than seam rippering.
It is.
And a lot more fun.
It's a lot more fun too, yes. So I always lay it back down because I'm thinking, oh yeah, it seems so clear, and then
it isn't.
And then it isn't. All right. So then when we're lining up, you can see that, again, that's going together. Now we're going to do the black and the white just by themselves, those rectangles. We're going to sew it on the edge. Again, remember, right sides together. Wink, wink. Because on this one, on the batik.
Won't matter for the first row, but it will for the second.
Yes. All right, so again, remember the darker wants to be together, and then we're going to go and do the other. Line it up. Now I'm just going to sew down. And I'm just going to press this to the inside, to the blue, because it's not going to show and it's be less bulky. All right, so we're 2/3 of the way. All right, so we got that lined up again, and then we're gonna go and do our corners. Again, when we're lining this up, I always, again, like to lay it out. And once you're doing assembly line style, you can, again, just go through and do it quick. All right. Can you see why I always like to look? That to me is appropriate. Because it's easy enough to get it rotated when you don't mean to. Alright, so we're going to give this a press.
And you're pressing towards the squares?
Yep, pressing towards the squares.
That's an easy way of remembering it.
Alright, so take a look, see, we got it all lined up. So now, on putting the sides on, we only have 2 seams that we need to worry about. And just going to put a clip in, just to kind of hold it. Alright, and I'm going to do my quilt tack. Get the scissors. And remember, quilt tack is 2 or 3 stitches before the seam and then a couple after, just to make sure it's held. That way, if you're off, you're not unpicking the whole seam. Alright, take a peeky. That looks good. When you're happy with it, you're just going to go and stitch. and line it up, and make sure you sew through the quilt tack. And the answer is, do we take the quilt tack out?
Extra reinforced.
Extra reinforced. Alrighty, so we have that one done, and then we're gonna go, and I didn't press this one, so remember I've pressed towards the blue, so I'm gonna press towards the square for that outside section. Alright, so then again, I'm gonna give it a clip. This one should not be bad because again you have things pressed one direction versus another, and again we're just going to again do our quilt tack. And do our quilt tack here. Yep, I like how those look. And remember, if you felt like you were too off, that's where you're going to simply just take that little quilt tack out and keep on putting the next one in, and you're good to go.
And I can't imagine that by this point everybody doesn't know about quilt tacks. We seem to mention it every quilt we do.
Yes.
However, if you're unfamiliar and you want a little more detailed explanation, check out our YouTube channel. I have a video just on what quilt tacks are, the benefits of them, and how to do them.
Alrighty. Ta-da!
Pretty pretty.
It is pretty. I was very happy with that. All right, so this quilt is set up 4 rows of 3.
Okay.
So I have done the other 3. 3 rows. Do the math, carry the 1. All right.
Is this new math?
New math, right? All right, so now at this point, when I'm putting them together, what it's going to do, it's going to make a square. Okay, when you get the rows together.
All right, before you do that, I think you've got 2 blacks together. Maybe rotate it.
There you
There you go.
Thank you.
No problems.
Lay it out. Now at this point, those corners, okay, that's where I'm going to focus my quilt tack. The black and white are already going opposite, so I'm not going to worry about that. But if you were...
Loretta.
I was going to say a little twitchy about it, but there you go. Never mind. But if you
All I can say is own it, man. Own it if you're going to be that way.
There you go. So, when we line it up, again, do a couple of the quilt tacks. Again, I'm not going to worry about that one because, again, it's going to line up. But let's say, if you wanted to, you go for it. Looks good. Looks good. So,
Boy, you are on a roll.
I know, right? And I normally have a 3-foot rule, but these are like on today. And the 3 foot is it looks good for 3 feet.
Yep.
Don't worry about it.
One of my students had a really good saying. She goes, "Will a man on a galloping horse notice?"
That's right.
I'm like, ooh, I think I might take that. But I still would have had to quilt tack the center one. Just a little controlling.
And there you go.
Beautiful.
So we have all of that done. Now, when we go, and we're going to take this down. All right, I'm going to look so you can see how it looks, and you see how the triangles.
Create that center square.
Yep.
It almost looks like a cornerstone on point.
On point without all the work. All right, so now I'm going to take a look to see the direction that I am pressing, and that particular one was pressed one way and one the other, so I'm going to see if I did any better on the other side here. Yes, they're all pressed to my right, so I'm going to press my seam to the left. All right, now I'm putting right sides together. Now this one you are going to have more quilt tacks to be wrangling with. That's one. Remember, I don't tend to do the black and the white. I find that is lining up just fine. Now I like to line it up in the center where those blue squares going to be, and then I line it up on the other side. Again, the black and white I don't worry about. Getting it lined up. The blue in the center, I will line that up. Good. I'll put that one in. So you can see when you're joining the rows, you will have a couple of more to choose from. Seams, well, like I said, throw a couple of quilt tacks in there, no biggies. All right.
It's always nice when you've got them tacked. You don't have that issue of where you start at the top of the row and everybody's behaving itself, and then the further down the row you get, the worse off it is.
Yep.
And it's a long seam to seam ripper out.
It is. It definitely is. So as much as I make fun of her with quilt tacks, I can understand why you would do quilt tacks here. Okay, so I'm doing the blue this time. And remember on your quilt tacks, try to get it at the accurate 1/4 inch seam in.
And just as a kind of a side point, if you're new to triangles, so those half square triangles that you put together, when you're doing your quilt tack, if you're using clips on the back side of the clip, there is a 1/4 inch line etched into the clip. So you can actually place that clip so that line is right on that raw edge. And then you could actually open it up before you quilt tacked it, just after you clipped it, to see if you were accurate.
What she said.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. All right.
And one of the we covered that on one of the tool schools.
Mm-hmm. Yep, the clips.
Yep.
Looks good. Looks good. Looks good. Yep. 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 And there you go.
Wow, you're on fire.
Like I said, they seem to be lining up today. Alrighty. So now we're going to do that big long seam for the actual lining it up. Now remember, this is also where if you were concerned that you had a poochie, you know, put the bigger section down. Not that we would ever have that happen.
No, we've heard that it can happen.
We've heard it rumored that could be the case. And remember, you have that little trick that if you have something that's actually quite bigger, hold the top, you know, so the bigger's on the bottom and it's quite a bit bigger than you had in mind. You hold the top layer as you're sewing. It'll help, the feed dogs will help ease it in. Now, be realistic.
You can't ease in 2 inches and make it look flat?
No, you can't ease in 2 inches. So
rats.
So just be, you know, like I said, make it realistic.
Yeah, sometimes you can be super accurate with your 1/4 inch seams, and you know, fabrics press differently, and one will stretch more than the other. So it happens. It's not a critique on anybody's work.
Alright, almost finished. Alright. And I'm going to put this out on the table. There you go, so you can see it. That really does look very pretty. I like the cool of the blue in that as well. Alright, now give it a good press. Remember, if you need to have a little bit more help, Mary Ellen's Best Press is a nice little guy to work with. Now, for the borders, this one's going to have 2. So the first one is going to be the white, in my case, here. So we're going to put that as the border. Then this one has 2. You're going to do that for the second border, and then the binding is going to be that.
Oh, nice.
So that is going to be very pretty. Alrighty. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time and get quilting.